What's going on, guys? In the works, and we are playing a little bit of Aftermath Conquest today. And I've really been slacking lately. I gotta admit, I have not been on my normal Terra videos. It's been quite busy in the real world, which has really impacted my ability to play Battlefield 3. But there's been an outside factor that's actually been limiting me from getting content to bring to you guys, and that is the DDoS attacks, because Battlefield 3 has been under attack for the past, I would say, about 2 weeks now going on, maybe a week and a half. But I'm sure if you play on PC, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you have been impacted by it at some point during the last 2 weeks. It's been quite frustrating, especially for me when I haven't really found a whole lot of time to play Battlefield 3. I don't really have the time to sit there and find a server that's not going to disconnect me because of whatever issue is going on. Basically what was happening is you kept getting kicked from servers. It would say disconnected from EA Online. A lot of the servers just weren't there. They just shut down because really there was no reason for them to be there. So whatever reason or logic behind these attacks, it really impacted everyone, and it was quite frustrating, especially for me. I just didn't really have any sort of content to bring you guys, and I was like, well, I've been so busy lately, I don't have time to sit here and wait for them to get their issues straightened out. So I was like, well, I'll just take some time off for a little while, because I just do videos when I think that I have a video worth bringing to you guys, and if I don't have content worth bringing, there's really no reason to make a video. That was kind of my stance on it. So I guess it's my insane quality requirements for my videos that kind of kept me from posting, even though I did have some, I have some older stuff, but like I said, I like to get new stuff. I like to bring you guys that's actually something that you could, I don't know, enjoy. That's probably the most important thing about any video, is that you're going to enjoy it. But the DDoS attacks are unfortunate. It makes me wonder, what are they going to do to prevent something like this happening on the regular? Because if Battlefield 4 comes out and on release they decide, hey, we're gonna DDoS the servers again, that would be quite frustrating. I mean, think about all the problems games have on release to begin with, let alone a DDoS attack. So it's definitely been an interesting week. I mean, it was big enough that it derailed DICE's, double XP event. They actually had to postpone that. DICE actually had to make an official statement on it, like, yeah, we're working on it, we're trying our best, and it's still not fixed. It is unfortunately still not fixed. It's still an issue. Granted, it's not as bad now. I was able to get into this server and play a few rounds, but it still kind of lingers. Like, a lot of the servers I hop on, there's this weird lag stuff, and a lot of people are attributing that to the fact that they're still, the servers are still trying to catch up. I mean, a lot of the servers were crippled at one point. I don't know if you guys ever even tried to jump into a game, but a lot of the games you did actually get into were just running as slow as molasses, and this server is no exception because it was also struggling from that. But luckily I was able to make a pretty good game out of it. I am running solo right here. I know a lot of you guys always want me to talk about the loadout I'm using and stuff like that. I'm using the Scar H with just heavy barrel and the holographic with my snakeskin camo because it's cool. But I like running engineer on these maps. I think it's probably the most useful beyond maybe assault, medic, because medic is all powerful, and it's always nice to be able to heal yourself and revive. But I find engineer to be pretty useful, especially with dealing with tanks and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, I had javelins on, but it actually ended up being quite useful, as I get a couple pretty nice disables and destructions with the javelin itself. So I guess it was a good thing I did have it on, because it actually came in useful. But on these maps, I like to challenge myself, because when I'm playing solo, I like to push into the palace on this particular map and try to hold it as long as possible, because there's a lot of different flags on this. It's really, really difficult to control. It's a lot of fun with a squad, so if you got a bunch of buddies, get a couple squads into a server and try to hold the palace. It's a blast. I think that's one of the best things about this map on Conquest, is trying to hold the palace. But I actually do think the Scar H works pretty well on these maps. I think that it's a really good choice if you're going to go engineer, because it is a heavy hitter. The one thing you have to look out for, though, is the small magazine size. It only has 20 or 21 with one in the chamber. I actually just did a video recently talking about the Scar H suppress, so if you want to see that, I mean, feel free to search on my channel and look at that video, because the Scar H suppress actually works really, really well on these maps too, especially if you can get behind them on the staircases, because there are, I think, there's this flag, and then the flag on the other side of the upstairs, and then there's a flag at the bottom down there. So there's a lot of different points you can hold in the palace. So it is quite nerve-wracking. It is pretty difficult to do, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, especially if you like more action-packed type games, holding the palace is definitely a nice little fun mini-game for yourself. It works better if solo, but hey, you can always grab a couple squads and do the same thing. But I've been running a lot solo lately, just because, like I said, I haven't had a lot of time to game. It's been one of those things where it's like, oh, man, a long day of work, come home, just don't feel like playing Battlefield right now. especially when I have to try like 15 times to connect to a server. But I'm so glad that they've started to stabilize a little bit more. I really just don't know what the motive behind a DDoS attack would be on the Battlefield game right now. Considering that, the only people they're really hurting is us. I mean, they're hurting the players. At this point, EA really doesn't care. It's not like, the servers not being up is impacting them monetarily. Yeah, people are going to be annoyed by it. The customers who bought the game are probably going to complain. But for the most part, it's hurting the player. Hopefully they get that straightened out, because I would hate to see this be a reoccurring issue. Because it just really makes it no fun. I mean, I know a lot of my buddies were trying to stream this weekend, and it was just pretty much impossible this past weekend. It was just impossible because every time you would join a server, it'd be like, oh, you've been kicked from EA Online. And, if you look at the server browser now, you'll notice there's just not a lot of choices. A lot of the servers just haven't been restarted, I guess. If there was a server that didn't have, like, active admins, I know that is something, surprisingly, that does exist in Battlefield 3, where people rented servers months ago, and they're still just waiting for them to be rebooted back up and once the DDoS attack is over. So hopefully DICE has that squared away, though. It was unfortunate, but it seems like it's starting to stabilize a little bit. But if you missed my past videos, here's a chance to catch up, and have a good weekend, guys. Peace.